So as all of Okay, so all of you have joined the meeting. So I assume that you are giving your consent to share the recording of this meeting on all social media pages. So a very good evening to all of you present here. My name is Arihant Kolecha, and I'm a final year economics honors student at your very own Kirorimal College. We've gathered here today, virtually of course, for an extremely enlightening session by Piyush Ranjan, Shweta Verma, Muskan Mittal, and Adish Jain on the subject, A Tryst with Economics. I'm sure that all of us have been eagerly waiting for this session. And with this session also, we will be concluding a week-long program of KM Alumni Connect 2021 to celebrate the Founders Day program of Kirorimal College. With this, I officially welcome our proud alumni and request Seema ma'am to take over.
Thank you, Arihant. Dear students, good evening. Today we are concluding week-long celebrations of our Founders Day, which started on the eve of January 31st. The event was named as KMC Alma Connect 2021 and the 2 by KMC Alumni Network, which comprises of group of 10. The theme was very carefully chosen, and the theme is celebrating our young alumni achievers. You might be wondering why the theme was set. And on the concluding day, I would like to share with you that if we look at the studies done by economists, political scientists, neuroscientists, and social scientists, these studies prove that programs promoting growth and development of young children are the best investment for developing human capital for promoting economic growth. Nobel laureate economists like James Heckman emphasizes on, to quote, a strong case for a higher return on human capital when dollars are spent on the young rather than the old, to unquote. Understanding this relationship fully well and knowing also well the huge potential which this youngest democracy of the world holds and the role educational institutions like KMC and networks like KMC Alumni Network can play therein. Inter alia, we are encouraging the spirit of engagement with its one of the important stakeholders, that is alumni. That is young alumni initially, followed by all alumni gradually, whether young or old, whether budding stars like Vardhan or established stars like Amitabh Bachchan, whether new entrants in DSC like Adish or in LSC like Muskan. That is why I said yesterday, this is just a jhalak or glimpse of what is coming for all of you in the times to come. Of course, this cannot happen without the support of a principal ma'am, my group of 8, our alumni community, and our target audience. We are aiming at ensuring learning continuity of our students during this pandemic time. We are also aiming at building 21st century skills of our children. We also want to help them during this time of pandemic due to the anxieties which are getting triggered because of this COVID-19. And for that, we feel we have to look beyond the traditional styles of knowledge acquisitions. And herein comes the importance of knowledge sharing platforms or networks like ours. I'm fully hopeful that the speaker sessions, 2 panel discussions, 2 experience sharing sessions carried out through this platform over the last 6 days will provide many inspiring moments for all the participants and plenty of cause for reflection. We are desiring for cultivating a strong and positive relationship with our alumni, who I consider to be our brand ambassadors and who can benefit their alma mater socially, academically, and professionally with their wealth of knowledge and skills. We feel that we have given them 2 gifts: wings to fly and roots to stay connected. Therefore, I urge through this platform to our entire alumni community to give back to their alma mater as a sign of their gratitude. And this giving can assume different forms. It can be through donations, it can be through mentoring, career guidance, placement opportunities to their fellow alumni or young juniors at KMC. We intend to leverage the alumni community and want to create a win-win situation for both our institution and our very own alumni. So with these words, I extend a very warm welcome to our young speakers, Adish, Muskan, Piyush, and Shweta in today's concluding session. Over to you, Arihant.
Thank you so very much, ma'am, for being the driving force behind this wonderful initiative. This wouldn't have been possible without your support. So, taking the meeting forward, I would now introduce our first alumni, Piyush Ranjan. Piyush comes from a science background. He did his schooling from Sainik School, Nalanda. He went to pursue his graduation in economics from our very own college. For the first 3 consecutive semesters, he was the topper of economics department. And along with this, he has also been a core member of NSS. He's currently a student at the very prestigious Indian Statistical Institute, Delhi. He has also qualified for Delhi School of Economics through both merit and entrance. It's an honor and privilege to have you, Piyush. I request you to take over from here.
Help me, Arihant. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes, Piyush. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Arihant. Firstly, I would like to thank our principal ma'am, Mrs. Biva Chauhan, and Dr. Shima Joshi ma'am for giving me this opportunity. I believe this is a great initiative to connect all the students of KMC, and also it would act as a great link between seniors and juniors. And it's my pleasure to be here sharing my experience on this platform with you. My name is Piyush. I belong to a very small district of Bihar, that is Nalanda. It's not well economically developed, but historically it's so famous. I believe to achieve anything in the life, the very first step is the right decision at the right time. This gives you enough time for the preparation. And I made my decision in the first year itself, not even that, when I took admission. That time only I was very clear about my aim, what to do after third year of my college. This part is very important for the first year who haven't yet made their decision what to do after third year. Following my decision, I focused more on maths and economics and went on scoring highest marks in all 3 consecutive semesters. Since I didn't had economics in class 12th, I had to give more time on the subject. When everyone was enjoying the first year of the college, I was struggling with the subject. My most of that leisure time of college was spent in library. At the end of first year, my MME was excellent and economics was little better. Mind it, I wasn't so good in maths in class 12. I had least score in maths out of all the subjects. Yeah, there is a good suggestion for the first year. If you are planning to think, if you are planning to go to DSC or ISI, you should take maths or stats as a G. I most prefer, I would say that take maths because in the stats you have practical and it will kill you a little bit of time. uh, it would also help you in both entrance and after taking admission in DSC or ISI. In fact, this is a scoring also. A second year experience was one of the best time in the college life. After giving the 2 hours in NSS Sahyog for unprivileged children, I was able to maintain my grades, and this taught me to manage time effectively. And that of course helped me while I prepared for my exam in third year. Now came the third year, one of the most crucial year of my life, not in fact everyone's life. This is the time when most of the students take their decision, but I was a way ahead than my friends who were planning to go to DSC. I knew that one seat is booked for me in DSC through merit basis, as I scored more than enough in these 2 years. Then also I decided to take coaching since I wanted to become topper in entrance exam. And this would have also faced me a seat in a hostel due to availability of limited number of seats. It's offered only top ranker in DSC entrance. up till now, I wasn't thinking much about ISI. So one of the seniors advised me to go for ISI since batch size is very small in ISI compared to DSC. Otherwise, it is at par with DSC. But ISI have little more advantage of going high. There are high chances of going for PhD. There are high PhD placement in ISI for the US universities. So I changed my focus completely towards ISI. These two exams have very same syllabus. In fact, ISI's syllabus is little less than DSC. I will be speaking for the preparation of both ISI and DSC. First, let's check DSC. If you have studied your course well, it becomes very easy to crack DSC entrance. Coaching only help you arranging the thoughts about the subject with a little extra knowledge and tips which you don't learn through your course in the college. And my basics were very strong. Of course, this was due to the professor who taught me in the college, and all professors there of the department were very good, very supportive. I didn't had privilege to interact with everyone, but I would do injustice to myself if I don't take the name of Samir sir and Niti ma'am, who helped me immensely. Who helped me most importantly, they gave me extra time beyond class hour to clear my doubts in during those first 2 years. While you prepare for DSC entrance, some of the things that you should keep in mind, and just mark it that you should make your own study. Don't follow me or don't follow anyone. You should make your own study while you prepare for any of the examination. But still, you can take something from my experience. While solving any of the test series or previous year paper, write all the concept used in the particular test or year which you find hard to memorize. Not only that, you should also note down the process where you committed mistake, or where you could not use the right concept, or where you have done some calculation mistake. You should be focused more on learning the concept and its application while solving the question. You should not be happy by finding the answer. Oh my God, I have got answer. It's okay. Now leave this question. No, you should not use this. You should not use this way. Second thing comes that time management. I used to solve two papers continuously in the last phase of my preparation within 3.5 hours. Though time allotted is 4 hours, but I should fix it only 3.5 hours. In this way would help you building your stamina when you sit for the examination. Next thing comes that I solved the previous year from 2006 to 2020, 2019 or 20. I advise you also to solve all 30 last 13 year papers before going to examination. I solved it 3 times, but I advise you to do at least 2 times. Now coming to ISI entrance exam is very different. ISI is not like other competitive exam which are based on memorizing things, grasping facts from the study material provided by the coaching center, and practicing different types of problem to become familiar with the type. They always set a different question with a different type and different pattern. ISI test your presence of mind and understanding of the subject, and moreover, they demand from you a very clear intuition about the subject. Till the end of the FAB, I didn't solve a single sample paper of ISI descriptive type, but I was constantly practicing for MCQ type paper. For subjective paper, only thing I used to do is to solve DSC type paper as taking it as a descriptive question. I used to write everything. I was not taking it as an objective question. I was confident about MCQ type paper, but I got little worried about this subjective paper. That time I had the pressure of internal also, and I didn't want my grades to go down. So I had to read the courses also. So I plan to complete my ISI sample paper descriptive type in the mid-sem break. You may not believe, within the 7 days, I solved all the ISI previous year paper from 2004 to 2019. For this, I had to study almost 13 to 15 hours a day. When I completed it, it gave me an immense happiness because I never studied this much in the past. Then came the news of lockdown, and I got little relaxed. Exams were postponed, and I had enough time. for the preparation and revising the things. For first time, first came DSC examination. My examination went well. One mistake I did was that I attempted all question. Out of all to come, only one was right, and that brought my marks down. And I had to satisfy myself with I got rank 15. Yeah. And after 10 days of DSC examination, I had my ISI examination. In these 10 days, I only flipped through the question which I already solved. I didn't practice any new question, kept on revising the short notes which I made for each test or each year, and kept it separately, and looked at the process also of the solving the question. During the time of examination, in the exam, objective part went very well. Now came the main part of the examination, descriptive paper. This paper have double weightage than the MCQ type. Out of 6 questions, I was asked to solve 4 questions in 2 hours. Seeing the question, my mind went blank. I didn't know what to do. I was thinking like my mind went completely blank. One question was written completely in one page. Seeing the question, it looked as if they have given a paragraph, not a question. For 2 minutes, I closed my eyes and kept myself calm. And I told myself, I have done enough preparation. This question is solvable. Finally, I could solve 3.5 question, and time was up. I was little slow in writing. I wasn't sure about my result. Why I'm saying this experience to you? One of the things where ISI tests you is the presence of mind. They always give some unexpected pattern and some unexpected question. So be ready for it before going to examination. Don't let yourself down when you see something new, some new question. Some of the tips which I would like to give it to you for the preparation of ISI. First thing is that you must be so well in playing with the equation. I mean, you should know how to formulate the equation. After reading the literature type question, it becomes very easy when you formulate the question in terms of equation. And second thing, ISI is in love with solo model. They rarely have made their paper without this. So you should have a strong concept building up on the solo model. And third thing, that when you solve your previous year paper, sample of course, previous year paper is not available, sample paper are available. You must fix your time, solve at your own solve out at your own without looking at answer in first attempt. It may take little more time. As I have already told you, be ready for surprise in the examination, especially in descriptive type. And yeah, last thing which is very important, don't get scared seeing the long question. And believe me, it will be easiest to solve. They will take you a step by step to the end part of the question. So just keep calm and solve the paper. And that's all from my side. Yeah, before going, I would like to clear the doubt of third year. Since you must have started to fill the form of ISI, you are required to choose between Delhi and Kolkata. Both are good, but my personal suggestion is that prefer Delhi, since it's a very small campus. Only 2 courses is taught there, while Kolkata have other courses also. While you shoot for placement, you may have tough competition from the student of the other courses. And moreover, Delhi PhD placements are better than Kolkata. For more information, you can Google it. Uh, uh, One more good news is that there are high chances that ISI will postpone its examination for a month. So be ready for it. We had a meeting with our professor. They were saying it. So be ready for it. It may get postponed. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Piyush. Your journey from Nalanda to ISI is really, really very inspiring. And thank you so much for your words today. So taking the meeting forward, I would now like to introduce Shweta Verma, our second panelist for today. Shweta comes from a commerce background. She did her schooling from St. Giri School, Rohini. She went on to pursue a graduation in economics from Kirorimal College. She was an active member in ECOSOC and also has volunteered for Teach for India. She is currently a student at the very prestigious Jawaharlal Nehru University. She is also qualified from Madras School of Economics, Gokhale Institute of Politics and Economics, Indira Gandhi Institute of Development and Research. It's really an honor to have you, Shweta. I request you to take on from here.
Thank you, Aryant. A very good evening to all of you. I would like to thank Seema ma'am and our principal ma'am for giving me this opportunity, and it's my honor to be a part of today's session. I'm Shweta Verma. I did my schooling from Delhi. Getting admission in KMC was one of my dream which came true, and yeah, for many of you as well. So I'm pleased to able to welcome all of the first years in KMC. Trust me, guys, you are at the great place, and a very good luck to all of you. Just enjoy KMC life. So there's a one popular phrase which we all Kirodian have. That's once a Kirodian, always a Kirodian. But do focus on your studies as well. So as you all know, I graduated in economics from KMC. So initially I was the member of ECOSOC, but due to some reasons I left ECOSOC. I had also volunteered Teach for India NGO for about 6 months. I really enjoyed my first and second year of graduation. From the beginning of third year, I started my preparation for masters. For that, I had joined coaching classes too. So as it would taught you how to prepare for a competitive exam, as many of us are going to face it for the very first time. So yeah, coaching would be advisable for by me. So during my third year of graduation, I used to keep my focus on both masters and with a regular syllabus of DU, which is our course from in economics. But as you all guys know, 2020 was the unexpected year for all of us due to pandemic. But the COVID came as a blessing for us, as we all get a lot of time for preparation as compared to our previous batches. So we get approximately 4 to 5 months extra as compared to our previous batches. So yeah, so that was quite beneficial for us. After that, giving many entrances, I South Asian University, Shivnadar University, and IIFT. I didn't make any of them, and I was really disappointed at that time. But I would like to advise you all that always believe in yourself. Like literally, you can achieve anything if you believe in yourself. Second thing, never lose hope, and third, just be patient. So these are the three key mantras which I literally believe on them. But after some time, I cleared Gokhale exam. They offered me financial economics there. So as I said earlier, Gokhale exam held in online mode at home. But as like you have your OB, but there they keep eye on you via video conference. So after Gokhale, all institute held their exam at centers only. So for Gokhale, you have to prepare just basic economics, and yeah, a good knowledge of maths too. Maths that would required a basic knowledge of maths of class 11th and 12th level. After that, I qualified Madras School of Economics exam, which is conducted by CUCET. So there, they used to give you 25 questions on basic reasoning, English, quant, and general knowledge. But don't worry, guys, they are just basics. You can do it easily, and they provide 75 questions from your economics section. So MSc offered financial and actuarial economics to me. After that, I qualified for IGIDR, and there I had spent almost 1.5 months. So IGIDR do have some high level exam as compared to other institutes. So they have 4 sections, that is English, economics, maths, and advanced maths. English is compulsory for all, but you have choice between 3 to choose only 2. Like you can choose English, economics, and maths or advanced maths. So due to which people from other than economic background can also be eligible and made their exam. So the level of English is quite high, as they give you a comprehension and you have to solve it, comprehension paragraph, and you have to solve it. And but the level of English is but the level of maths is of like class 12th or 11th level. Economics level is moderate, like you have to really study for that. And I don't know about the advanced maths level, as I didn't attempt that. So after that, I qualified for an interview. You have to qualify for an interview too to be a part of IGIDR. So IGIDR is a nice place, as there they had experience, as there I had experienced a lot of new things, like how we actually work with data in real life. The faculty of IGIDR is really cooperative and supportive. They will encourage you a lot in academics as well as for further studies. So there are some merit points which I personally felt when I was in IGIDR, and the merit was that first it will give you an opportunity to explore different city, and it have 100% placement. Subjects are no doubt difficult, but not as difficult as other institutes like DAC. They provide internship with RBI to their first 5 scholars in the very first semester. They have an active placement cell, and they will literally help you a lot in getting internships. They provide a hostel facility to all of their students. Like the best thing is that the single room is available to each of the student. So now there are some demerits too which I felt, that you have to devote yourself in academics and internships or for getting placed. But like if anyone is preparing for a government sector or for something else, then this might not be a good place for you. Seats are less, as about 40 to 45 only, so the competition increases as people from other than economics background also apply there. So yeah, I may also consider one of the issue, that is the cost issue. The You have to be financially strong. Now, after spending 1.5 months in IGIDR, one day I received a call letter from JNU, and that was the one of the best day of my life, as I never expected it, because it was my dream to be a part of JNU. So currently, I'm a student of JNU. Clearing JNU exam is literally easy. Like, if those who are stick to their basic, they can easily clear JNU exam. JNU have no negative marking, plus you have to attempt 50 question in 3 hours, which is quite a better deal. Uh, but uh, but the competition is really high, like the cutoff goes to 94 and above that. So yeah, you have to prepare very hard for this. And yeah, JNU will save you a lot of cost as the fee is almost negligible. You have a great returns as well from JNU. JNU will provide you a lot of time, like if you are preparing for further study or for government jobs, you can do that easily. And yeah, the number of seats are approximately 100, so which also increases the probability of getting into it. But JNU do have some demerits, as the placements are there but not as good as the other institutes like ISI, DSC and IGIDR. But yeah, the professors are really nice. They will encourage you a lot for further studies and all. And one more thing which we have is the attendance issue. We don't have any attendance issue at all. So yeah, you can spend more of your time in further things as well. So yeah, that's how I made my journey from KMC to JNU. Thanks you all for having me here.
Okay. Thank you so much, Shweta, for the enlightening words. It was really, really inspiring. Your journey is also really inspiring. So now moving ahead with the meeting, from here, now we move ahead with Muskan Mittal, our third panelist for today. Muskan did her schooling from Hindu Vidyapeeth in Sonipat. She is from commerce background. She was also awarded merit certificate for being among top 1.1% of successful students in mathematics and economics in class 12th board examinations, and also topped his school and stood third in a district, Sonipat. She then pursued an undergraduate study in economics from Kirorimal College. She used to be one of the highest merit achievers in our college too. Besides this, she was also a part of ECOSOC and also was involved in social work with NGOs like Umeed. She is currently pursuing her master's in economics program from the very prestigious London School of Economics. It's an honor and privilege, Muskan, to have you. So kindly please take from here.
Thanks, Arihant. Good evening, everyone. Firstly, I would like to begin by expressing my immense gratitude to respected Seema ma'am for giving me this opportunity to speak here. Also, I'm grateful to venerated principal ma'am and all my teachers, because if it were not for them, I would not have been able to achieve my dreams. Now, with further ado, let's get straight into our topic of discussion. So I would like to tell you how I was inclined toward taking admission in this college, London School of Economics. So in my class 12th, I used to be very shy and introvert. So my father was not ready to send me anywhere, even outside Sonipat. But I topped in class 12th and he was willing to send me to Delhi University so that I could pursue my BA in economics there. But then I also got into Narsi Munji. But because of my introvert nature, he didn't send me there in my first year. So in my very first year, I made up my mind that I will go to abroad So I started preparing for it in my second year only. Then I would like to tell you the main components which are needed in order to enhance or make your application a little bit stronger than others. So there are main 6 components which are SGPA, I mean the score you get in your college, GRE, IELTS exam, SOP, that is statement of purpose, LOR, that is letter of recommendation, and extracurricular activities. So let us talk about GRE first. I took the GRE coaching from Jamboree Education, and I would highly recommend you that you focus only on the quantitative part and score at least 165, because that is the main requirement they see. And don't focus much on your verbal score, because they will see your English part from your IELTS exam. So you can give your IELTS exam once you get conditional offer from any university. Secondly, I would say that you should focus more on your marks in college, because high merit always increases the chance of getting admission in a good university. So I maintained my CGPA in all the 6 semesters, and it was around 9. Thirdly, one of the most important part of the application is the statement of purpose, and you have to spend a lot of time on it and focus on 3 main things in your statement of purpose: why this course, why this university, and why this country. And please do not try to copy it from anyone else. That would actually take your chance of getting into any university. So just be very clear on it. Whatever you have to write, just write. And fourthly, you also will also need at least 2 letter of recommendations from a teacher. So I got my letter of recommendation from Sameer sir, Neha ma'am, and Javima sir. And I think all our teachers in our department are very supported, and they will actually help you to get it. And maybe you can give a sample to them. They will just make amendments and sign it. So you will get it from them. They're very supportive. Fifth, I would like to say that you should also focus on your extracurricular activities. Like when it comes to me, I joined some NGOs outside college, which were Umeed NGO and Kailash Satyarthi. In Umeed NGO, we did some project. We were to go to the Sangam Vihar and collect data from people there, because they are already having the problem of water shortages. So I did some projects there and some projects in Kailash Satyarthi. So I would highly recommend you to do some extracurricular activities and at least excel in one of the things, either in merit or in extracurricular activities. Do both of them, but you should have one at least at your priority. So now I would like to tell you that I was the first, to apply for LSE. Like my application was open on 7th October, and I applied on that that day only. So apply as soon as possible, because early applications increases the chance of getting into any university. So I applied on 7th October, and I got the earliest offer, that was on 19th December. Usually people get it in January, February, March, because they apply late. So I would highly recommend you to apply as soon as possible. And one more thing, GRE is the requirement for it. You can't apply before giving it GRE if you're doing MSc Economics. So in my course, GRE was required. So I gave GRE and then applied. And so basically I applied in 7 universities, which were Cambridge, London School of Economics, UCL, and there were 4 medium universities. So in November, I got rejected from UCL, but I was so disappointed that I won't be getting into any university, because UCL being a very nice university, I thought that how could any other university could accept me? So please don't get disappointed or don't get disheartened if you get rejection from any university. So always keep your hopes up. I would just like to say that. One more thing, if you want to do MSc Economics, that is a flagship program. So I would highly recommend this program if you are interested in maths and economics. Otherwise, you should see all the subjects which actually are in interest of you. If you don't like it, then just leave it and do some other course. There are other courses like MIM, or there are lots of courses which you can pursue after your undergrad. So yeah, one of the main thing that I encountered here is that we were given the choice of applied econometrics, but we students didn't vote much for it. But I actually felt that you should take applied econometrics as one of your course, because if you will take it, then you will get the chance of doing STATA course, R course in the undergraduation level only. Because as I didn't do it, so I faced a lot of problems in that. And also, keep keep asking about teachers about the research papers, essays as well, so that you are not the first one and doing it here and you have no idea and you are blank just. So these were the problems that I faced. So I would highly recommend you to talk about teachers regarding the applied econometrics subject, Strata course, R course, time series, and essays. So you should keep contacting your teachers. Now, what after LSE? So basically, there are two major options which you can opt after doing your master's degree. One is PhD and the other one is job. So for PhD, you have to apply in your master's degree only, and you have to do a research paper and keep taking tips from teachers, so that actually teachers are the best source. They will actually lead you to the right path, that where you can go and how to apply and everything. They will actually help you. And if you don't want to do PhD, you want to do jobs. So there are two kinds of job. One is research based and the other one is corporate jobs. So for research based job, you should have the knowledge of Stata Argo, which I mentioned above. That's why I'm saying that keep having the knowledge of those subjects. So take applied econometrics, and if you are really interested in research, then go for research after masters. But if you are interested in corporate jobs, then keep having contact with teachers. They will actually help you how to get into such kind of jobs. So let me talk about my college life here now. So it is a bit different from what it is in normal year. So like I came here in October and classes were offline then. So I used to go to college, but then in UK, as you guys must be aware of, that this new variant came and we were not allowed to go to college for attending offline classes. But now we are allowed to go and study online. So we have to get tested in every 4 days. So if we test negative, then we can only go. Otherwise, we are not allowed to go to college. And at last, I would just like to say that you must have heard of the phrase, खुद को कर बुलंद इतना कि हर तकदीर से पहले खुदा बंदे से ये पूछे बता तेरी रजा क्या है. Always keep this in mind and keep moving on. Just don't get disappointed at any point of your time. And at last, I would just like to say that my teachers were a great support for me, and they are actually, and I'm very, very grateful for to them and during this journey of teaching me to LSE. Thank you.
Thank you, Muskan, so much. You were really inspiring. Your words have really inspired us all. So I see some questions coming in. We'll definitely take the questions after last panelist. So we'll just complete with him and then we'll take the questions. So moving on to our last panelist for today, Adish Jain. Adish did his schooling from St. Xavier School, Sirsa. He completed his graduation in economics from Kirorimal College. From being the head boy of his school to the president of the Economic Society, he has several positions of responsibility with no compromise with his grades. He has always believed in the philosophy of being an all-rounder. Acing the final year examinations in his college and secured highest grades, he found himself a place in Delhi School of Economics, where he's currently pursuing the master's course in economics. It's really a very proud moment for all of us to have you, Adish, as the speaker. So kindly take over from here.
Thank you so much, Arihant, for such a beautiful introduction. So hi everyone, my name is Adish Chan, and today I'll be sharing my experience with you. But firstly, I want to thank Ma'am Vibha Chauhan and Ma'am Seema Joshi for this flagship initiative that provided us with this opportunity to guide our juniors. And I believe there could be no better way to celebrate KMC's Founder Day. So KMC Alma Connect was long overdue, and I just want to appeal to all the students who are with us today to stay connected to this cell. Trust me, there lies so much ahead in the store for all of us. So my experience was quite different from what my fellow mates shared. As you know, I'm currently pursuing Masters in Economics from Delhi School of Economics. So let me walk you through the admission process. Firstly is the entrance examination, and then is the merit basis. And I got through the latter one. As Piyush already talked about the entrance mode, I would like to focus solely on merit mode. Okay, so you won't find many people out there talking about this. Even those who get admission based on merit realize only after they get through how dynamic this route is. Like you'll only hear that, you know, just score more than 8.5 and you'll get admission, but nobody tells you how to score that number. And let me also tell you that 8.5 is not enough. Okay, it won't be enough for you guys. So let me address all your concerns today, and let me rephrase it that I'll be telling things from the perspective of scoring maximum marks in your undergraduate. Okay, so along our discussion, I'll be busting out some myths as well. So when I was in my first semester, I did not know much about this merit mode. I took Pol Science as my first general elective. I scored 7 in that, which was highest, but not enough to get into DSC. So I learned that you don't score good in theory subjects. Then I shifted to commerce subjects for my GE, and I fared really well. I scored maximum in GE for next 2 semesters. But as Piyush also rightly said, I would also recommend you to go for maths if you like it, because it is at the end of the day, it is the most scoring subject. But again, commerce and stats are always the good alternatives. So there is this myth that semester 1 and 2 are more scoring, semester 3 and 4 are most difficult, and semester 5 and 6 are least scoring. So let me tell you that I punched this myth completely in the face. I scored comparatively less in first 2 semesters. I got very good in semester 3, which is deemed to be the most difficult semester, and I topped the department in final year. So never ever get influenced rumors and such sharings, and also never ask anyone his or her strategy, because it's always different for everyone. Just do your work, prepare well, always aim for scoring maximum. That's it. I mean, 10 should be your goal, no matter what you score. Okay, your competition is with yourself, not with anyone else. So today, let me tell you very broadly how you can score well. So firstly, like I'll go into some specifics as well. Spend more time on concepts initially. You may use colored pens for complex diagrams, as it will help you understand the topic better. Trust me, this will do wonders. Let's say you need to see the effects of a change in one variable on some another variable, then you can write the respective explanations in different colors. And so these things will help you immensely. Okay. Next is that you will find some questions always at the back of every chapter. So make sure you are well versed with all those questions. They just come straight in the exam. Okay, and so the next thing is that you must refer to is 10 years. So you will get an intuitive idea as to what type of questions you can expect in exam. Several times few questions get repeated also. Get your hands on 10 years as soon as possible, because it will remind you throughout the course, whether you will be able to answer the questions in exam. And trust me, what we are taught is very different from what is asked in exams. In semester 3 and 4, practice as much numericals as you can, because there are such questions in exam that you have never seen before, and you simply cannot solve them at first glance, even if your concepts are strong. So basically, the thing is, some numericals have their own concepts. To cite an example, just look at the way you solve a Cobb-Douglas production function and a perfect complements function. Okay. Let's not get into the technicalities. So in final year, like you have only theoretical subjects, except a few like financial economics. So always read the theory part extensively. Every time you will find something new in it. Every subject has its own approach. So make sure you don't miss your classes. You have got some great faculty at KMC. Make full use of it. And also do not refer to multiple sources, as it will only make things cumbersome for you. Just follow your readings, make your own notes, or simply mark it down. Like my exams got postponed 3 times, and this number is in direct proportion to number of times I revised my concepts. So the more you read, the more you retain. And even if ours was open book examinations, except a few, everybody scored below 9. So getting deep insights of topics really helped me score well. Well, I can tell you how to go about it year wise, semester wise, subject wise, unit wise, but that would be way too much for this session. So for now, you can very broadly refer to all the points I just mentioned. And if you have any further doubts about it, you can always contact me through my social media channels. Okay. So now let me share a little about my experience from KMC to DSC. So after KMC, I got admission in Delhi School of Economics in third list. Okay. So I used to think that my grades would be enough. But when came the initial two lists, I was shocked to the core. Only then I realized later that it's never enough. But luckily initial two lists had so many discrepancies, like people were given 100% marks, whereas the maximum you can score is 95%, like you will know, that 10 multiplied by 9.5, and that would also imply that you scored perfect 10 in all subjects, in all semesters, in all years. So I knew this wasn't possible, so there was still hope, and I finally got into it. And also you might know that I did not prepare for any entrance like my other friends. So instead, I was keeping up with my extracurriculars. I committed so much time for the Economic Society. So let me boast a little of the same. we organized the first ever biannual fest Ecolixir, wherein we invited Professor Jaiti Goel, whom we had been trying to contact for 2 years. We brought some great sponsors like Harvard Business Review, OnePlus, Campus Shoes, Starbucks, Nescafe, and many others. So also to all the first years, I want to say that please go on social media and have a look at our customized t-shirts as well. I'm sure every economic student would want one. And of course, we had a fantastic trip as well. So you might be thinking why I'm telling you about all these things. See, it's because being good at just one thing won't, win you anything. You need to be an all-rounder. You just cannot stay completely engulfed into studies all the time and not care about anything else at all. Okay, so you must be aware of everything happening around you. And ecosoc gave me so much to add to my cv, so much to speak about something in interviews, so much to add to my learnings, help me improve my skills across various fields. And I did this I did this all while managing my academics, which was always my top priority. Like I used to visit like I used to go to college daily. People simply forgo those 5 marks for attendance, and they also take internals very lightly, whereas I was always serious about such things. At times I used to be the only one attending the class, and I'm sure Dr. Seema Joshi ma'am would completely agree to this. And I think nothing else could teach us the importance of the classroom learning than COVID-19. We are all eager, to go to campus. We even want to attend those boring lectures now. But when we had the time, when we were on campus, we never went to college. So that's an irony. So, it was all these little things I invested my time in, and it finally paid me off at the end. Had I not run madly for those attendance marks, I would not be giving you this session today. So, never take things lightly in your life. Always take your time, decide your goal, find the way to it, put everything into it, and trust me, you will bear the fruits of it. And most importantly, never stop learning, because it's never enough. And why it's not enough brings me to the very recent experiences I had at Delhi School. So, but I have a number of things to say, but because of the time limit, I would limit myself to a few. So, I would like to say things very broadly into this form of two questions. So, firstly, what you should expect from DSC, and second, what DSC expects from you. Okay. So coming to the first question, you probably already know about DSC. Okay, I won't boast of anything about it. So it's one of the premier institutions for economics in India, and you will encounter students from diverse backgrounds, with diverse set of skills, and you will find some great opportunities here at DSC. So let me very quickly come to the second question, which I believe is more important. Okay, so if I speak about the course, that is MA Economics, then mind it, it's not easy at all. The level of academic rigor it demands is nowhere close to our undergraduate level. You'll have lots of maths here with more focus on quantitative skills. Like I would strongly suggest you that you go through your undergraduate concepts and class 12th mathematics all over again. Trust me, I'm not exaggerating it. You simply cannot take it lightly if you want to sustain here. Our current batch size is 329. So again, I heard this myth that when I was in my undergraduate, I used to hear very often, that there is 100 placements from DSC, every student gets placed. But when I came here, I got to know that in semester one itself, almost half the class used to fail, leaving with only half the strength eligible to sit for placements. So, yeah, like all those left got somehow or the other, they all got the placements. So yeah, that's how it was 100%. So the myth which we had, it was completely busted. Okay, so now you people also know the reality. And so for placements at DSC, I'll just simply tell you what is expected of you. Most companies outrightly reject you based on your CVs, and you don't even stand a chance to prove yourself. So from placements perspective, here are a few things I believe everyone must get hold of, for significantly improving your chances of selection. So firstly, grades, and I think I have already talked enough about this. Then comes your positions of responsibility, like you were the, let's say you were the head boy in school, you were a captain, vice captain of your schoolhouse, and you were a member of any college society. Like I was the president of economic society. Okay, so all these things really do matter. Okay, next is about internships. So I did 2 government internships, but I suggest that you should definitely do at least one financial internship. The reason is because the most companies are financial companies which come for placements at D school, and they always look for some kind of financial background. And naturally, CFA candidates enjoy greater advantages. So try to do at least 2 internships, even if both are of very short duration. Okay. And so now coming to a very interesting thing, that is the programming language. Okay, so this is something no one will ever tell you about in undergraduate. So in our undergraduate, we have a lot of time to learn at least one coding language. Companies here do give preference to students with coding experience. There are many languages, as Muskan also talked about, like Python, Stata, R. So you can very easily find free online courses on these, or you can simply purchase these courses on websites like Udemy, Coursera, which will also issue you certificates. After which after you complete the course, basically, which you can also add, to your CVs. So then there is this financial accounting. It's very important. Okay, from placements perspective, you should know about all the three fundamental financial statements of any company, and how to perform the different kinds of analysis, like ratio analysis, horizontal analysis. So keep yourself well versed with those. And also keep yourself up to date with all the economics current affairs. As an economics student, you must read about budget, economic survey of India, RBI monetary policy reports. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much about it. I hope I've covered everything I wanted to, and I really hope my experience benefits you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Adish. From seeing you in the classes and corridors of KMC, and you now sitting in DSE, it's really, really inspiring, not just for me, all of us. So thank you so much. So now we can open the round. We can open it to question and answers. I suggest you make the
Definitely.
best opportunity and ask them all your doubts. So you can go ahead. There are certain questions, so I'd like to take them. Okay, so Muskan, this is for you. Yog is asking, which is better, 1-year program or 2-year MSc Eco program? He's a stats honor student.
If he's a stats year student, so I would recommend him the 2-year program because he must be having a little less knowledge about economics. So I would prefer the 2-year. And for those who are in eco honors, they should do the 1-year program because the first year is all about the undergrad level. So if you are a stats honor student, you should do the 2-year program.
Okay, so next question is also directed towards you. Dhruv is asking, could you also talk about funding and scholarships at LSE?
Yeah, you can apply for scholarships here, but there are very less chances of getting it. So try to apply it as soon as possible as you get the offer. And I think you can get your offer in December or January, something like that. So try to apply before May. You might get it if you have a good score and you applied properly. So try to apply it as soon as possible, but there are very less chances of getting it.
Okay, so Anushi is also asking that is GMAT accepted instead of GRE?
See, in most of the courses, like in London, very less universities require GRE or GMAT score. But in my course, GRE was required, like in MSc Economics. In LSE, like there are no much courses in which GMAT is required, so GRE is required. So basically, which course are you asking for?
Anushi, you can unmute yourself or you can type in the chat box. She's asking about the MIM program.
Yeah, so I think GRE is required for it. Or check it on the website.
No, I heard that GMAT is also accepted. It's a choice between GRE or GMAT. So,
okay, so
both are accepted, I think.
But GRE is preferable.
Okay. Any more questions do we have? You can make the best use of this opportunity. You can ask.
Guys, you can just
connect with
directly
your
unmute yourself, and you can directly ask questions if you have any. Would be very happy to answer those for you. Maybe I think all the panelists have really covered all the questions well. That's why I don't see any question popping up.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah,
yeah. Go on.
Good evening all. I'm Jonal Shajan. I am first year BA Economics Honors student at KMC. So I would like to ask what should be our CGPA for getting into these institutes? A minimum level, what we can say, a minimum level of CGPA required.
Okay, hi Jonath. For Delhi school, I can answer that for you. See, I got admission, so mine was 8.93, and I think it went down to this time we had six lists, six merit lists, but usually we have only two or three lists. So I think this year it went around 8.7, 8.8. But for your batch, you should definitely expect above 9 if you really want to secure yourself, a place at D school. So yeah, you should definitely, you should always aim for 10, but you should always try to score 9 plus. I think that's my suggestion.
Okay, then I would also like what should we get? What should we score to get into LSC?
I think Muskan, would you take that question?
Can you please repeat your question? It was not audible.
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yeah.
So I asked about the CGPA which is required to get into institutes like LSE.
Okay, so there is not a specific CGPA which is required. So just maintain your CGPA, I think above 8 at least, but it does not guarantee your admission into it. So they actually see everything, every aspect of your, like I mentioned, the six components which are required: GRE, IELTS, CGPA, extracurricular activities, SOP, and letter of recommendation. So you should maintain all these.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we have a question from Satakshi. She's asking, where can we get good research papers? Adish, would you like to take this up?
Yeah, Shatakshi, if you could be a little more, specific, I think then I would, guide you to the right direction, because, see, there are very good libraries. We have Ratan Tata Library at D School. It has, abundance of economics papers, economics journals. So I think those can also act as your very good source. But if you could be a little bit more specific as to what kind of research papers you want to look for, I think then I can answer that for you.
Okay, okay. So Somil is asking, any tips for maintaining a good CGPA throughout our undergrad?
Yeah, so hi Somil. As I talked about, I mentioned few points that you need to, keep in mind for scoring maximum in your undergrad. Always practice 10 years. Always do practice your back year, like in the questions which are at the end of your, chapters. Do practice those questions. Past years are very important, and minded that you need to be, more thorough with numericals, because, as I said, what you're taught is very different from what is asked in exams. So some numericals have its own concepts, as I said. So practice numericals really well. I think that would be really help.
Okay. So Vaibhav is asking, are there any fixed number of vacancies at LSE for foreign students?
So there are no such fixed number. It depends on your application, how strong is that, and how early you are applying. So if you are early applying, there are more chances of getting into it. So there is no any fixed number of vacancies in LSE. Or
Yeah.
I will say that you should keep checking the website, because every year everything changes. So that is the best source.
Yeah, exactly. So Nimish is asking, is the JNU curriculum as quantitative as DSC? So Shweta can take this up. And
Hi, Nimish. JNU curriculum is quantitative, but not as quantitative as DSC and ISI and other have. So I would not say, yeah, it might be easy for you and for all of us. So that's why.
okay, okay. So Jonathan is asking, what about yearly fees of LSE? Muskan
Okay.
can take this up.
So even the yearly fees of LSE increases every year. So like in my year, it is around 29,760 pounds. So it might increase next year. It will increase. Actually, I checked on the site. So keep checking it. That too. It will increase.
Okay. So Dhruv is asking, could you also talk us through your engagements with societies in KMC besides EcoSoc?
Okay, so hi Dhruv. I mean, sorry to say, like we owe everything to EcoSoc only. So like we didn't have any engagement with any other societies. But I'm sure Arihant or Nimish can answer those for you. Arihant, would you like to?
Yeah, like engaging in societies gives you a very good exposure to a lot of new things in college. It teaches you a lot of things. It gives an opportunity for networking with a lot of peer group. So that's really helpful. And in specific, if you like to ask about any society, then you can type in. And Piyush was also a member of NSS. So if he wants to tell about NSS, he can.
Yeah, Piyush, please do tell them about NSS.
NSS has two parts. One is Sahas and one is Sahyog. In Sahas, we used to teach our unprivileged children. They are from just nearby village named as Chandraval, and they used to come and study in our college, and we used to teach them at daily for 2 hours. So it's a little time taking. So if you are coming for this, then be ready to devote your time.
Okay, that's great. Vikas is asking, can you please talk about SIS and SSS at JNU, difference between the two? So Shweta can take this up.
Hi Vikas, SIS and SSS. SIS is basically about international economics or international affairs. International is a subject which you will study in your third year. Actually, our previous batchmates didn't get this chance to study international, but fortunately we get. So yeah, uh, keep track of that if you want to get in SIS, and SSS is just basic MA in economics. So yeah, you can get that with your uh, curriculum which you are doing in. So yeah, that's it. Only difference is that. Plus SIS is more preferable as compared to SSS. Uh, and yeah, that's all.
Okay, so we don't have any more questions. So if anybody has it, you can type, okay, John. LSE or DSE give us some more, give us more chances of further studies like PhD. So higher studies, he's asking. So Muskan can tell about the higher studies in LSE.
Yeah, for like my course is a 1 year program, so I would highly recommend if you're doing the 1 year program, you should start applying for PhD as soon as you start your master's degree. So you should try to search papers, asking your teachers about it, and they will actually guide you how to apply for PhD. But try to apply it as soon as you start your master's degree.
Excuse me,
Okay, so
wait. I would also, I would like to also answer Jonath, who has asked about PhD. If you are planning to go for PhD, ISI is the best place for you in India. It's very cheap. You don't have to pay anything for studying. In fact, more than that, you will have a stipend of 8,000 per month. So if you are planning for going for PhD, just think about ISI also.
Yes, exactly.
yeah, I
And
mean, also let me also add a little to this. So ISI and DSC, they really give you a very quantitative edge over others. So it really helps you to, when you basically, when it comes to your final years of research, then I think you can, very easily, you can be, very thorough with all the data collection things. You are very, well versed with how to, work with data. I mean, all throughout your MA, you will basically learn such things only. So I think these are the things which can really help you. And LSE, I think the course is basically a 1 year. So I think basically you're saving your 1 year. So I mean, yeah, that's the trade-off.
yeah, exactly. So Prabhu is asking, is it advisable to join any coaching for economics honors? He's asking for the undergrad economics honors.
I would like to answer him. I won't advise you to join coaching for economics honors. But of course, if you are not joining coaching, you will have to devote time, because I have devoted a lot of time for the subject. But of course, I would advise you to take coaching notes. It's available. Many of your friends would be going, but just take the coaching notes and it would be helpful for you. But I won't advise. It's so expensive now. They have increased the prices also. So it's so expensive.
Okay, so Prabhu Sharma, I think, yeah, also let me say that, you can always ask Piyush for the notes. His notes were used to be the best. It got circulated in the whole class. So I think you can directly ask him for the notes. I'm sure he'll be happy to help.
It's not available now. I don't know. I have given to someone.
Okay, we'll arrange the notes for you. You can always ask any of us.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So Nimish is asking that what is LSE's cost of living? So other expenses than tuition.
Okay.
Muskan can take this.
In tuition, like there are various LSE halls. Other than LSE halls, there are private halls. So it depends on which halls you are living. Like the LSE halls are comparatively cheaper than the private halls. Plus, it also depends if you have a shared room or the single one. The cost of single room is comparatively double than that of the shared one. So if you want to know about which type of room and hall you are asking, you can ask. Otherwise, the cost of LSE hall is comparatively cheaper than private halls. Like in case of LSE halls, it is around £6,000 per year and 8 to 9,000 pounds in case of private halls.
Okay, okay. So Kanav is asking what is the difference between MIM and MBA apart from work experience? So I can take this up. I can take this question. So like MBA is a 2-year program, and in most cases MBA is a 2-year program and is done after, like, is preferable after doing a work experience. Like if you want to go abroad for MBA, you have to have a work experience. Like most of the very good universities take MBA aspirants after only 4 to 5 years of work experience. On the other hand, MIM is preferable for a fresher. And if you have a GMAT score, if you have a good profile, you can go for an MIM program. So that's also great. And both of them are like are focused on management only, but like MBA is focused on experience program candidates only in abroad. So any more questions do we have? How are the on-campus placement opportunities in LSE? That's a great question, Anushi. So Muskan can.
Okay, so like I told you earlier, only like whenever you will start your post graduation in LSE, you will start receiving mails from LSE regarding the jobs. So they will give you options regarding the research jobs and the corporate jobs. So just keep checking the mails, and you should know which type of jobs are you interested in. And if you're very keen on job, then you should apply for it starting from your master's degree only. Otherwise, I would recommend you can take some rest in your first term and then apply for jobs, because it is just a 1-year program. So that's why.
Okay, so I also wanted to add on to this, like, is there any concept of campus placements that we have in India, like in LSE? So like there's a drive, there's a campus placement, or there's a dedicated cell to this, or do we have to network it through ourselves only? So.
Like it was not a normal year, so everything was online. Otherwise, it is very different. Like companies come to college, like everything was online. So we just keep getting mails from teachers, as well as we can also contact them if we are interested in a particular job, or if we are interested in doing research with our teachers. They're also giving us that opportunity. So this year was a little bit different. So everything was online.
Yeah, great, great. So Shireen is asking for LSE, what sort of job experience is needed?
Okay, so for my course, there was no job experience needed. So even freshers could apply for MSc Economics. But there are many students here who have like 5 to 10 years of job experience. So it depends. If you want to take job experience, then also you can come here. Then you will have the knowledge already of these courses, which I already told you, like Stata, Arcos. Then you won't face any problem. Otherwise, there is no specific requirement for any job in LSE after undergraduation.
Okay, so Anna is asking how rigorous is the course at ISI? As in when can we manage other things alongside like IES or IAS preparations?
ISI course is very rigorous. It's very engaging. Throughout your week, you will be involved in making assignment and solving. Like they have quizzes, they will have surprise tests. Unlike DSC, like they have midterm, but we used to have surprise tests. So you need to study continuously. And let me give you a stat. Till now, none of the alumni from ISI have gone for any government job. They have gone either they have gone for PhD or they have gone for corporate placement. So it's up to you. Takes
Okay,
your
so
decision.
let me also add a little to this. Okay, so there are basically two very good options. Okay, for your for after masters. So after masters, you can either prepare for RBI Grade B. To be very specific, RBI Grade B DEPR, Department of Economic Policy and Research. Not the general RBI Grade B exam, which everybody can give after their graduation. I'm talking about the specific DEPR exam, which only the master students can prepare for and give. So that's a very good option. And again, as Anna mentioned, Indian Economic Services. So if you look at the curriculum of RBI Grade B or the IES, you will find, almost a great deal of similarity between the course curriculum you study at ISI or DSC. So I think that's really helpful. By looking at the course, you will know, yaar, ye to sab humne padha hua hai. It's very very easy. So, but you still need to structure your thoughts. So it's very helpful. Yeah.
Okay, this was really insightful. So I feel that it's 8:16, so it's 8:16 already. So, and we have covered it all. So if you have any questions, this is the last chance you can type in. Otherwise, we can conclude the session.
Okay, so one more thing, guys, you can always, if you don't have any doubts as of now, you can always contact us through our social media channels. Arihant will share the details with you. And yeah.
Yeah, it's already there in the chat box. You can take a screenshot. You can follow them on their social media handles. You can contact them through their mail IDs. So you can get in touch with them. Okay, so as all good things come to an end, so will this seminar, and with this KMC Alumni Connect Program 2021 also. And on behalf of Kirorimal College, I take this opportunity to propose a vote of thanks to all those who have directly or indirectly contributed to all these seminars. At the outset, I would also like to extend my gratitude and thanks to all our panelists today. We are really enlightened with your knowledge and presence. Really, really thank you. And we are also very thankful to Dr. Seema Joshi ma'am for this wonderful initiative and for being the driving force behind this wonderful event. Furthermore, I would also like to thank our principal, Professor Vibha Singh Chauhan ma'am, who has been a constant support and guiding pathways in our lives. A special thanks to all the organizing committee members of KMC Alumni Group, which includes Dipanshu Mittal, Nitesh Shishodia, Dhuman Kumar, and Toshi Vashisht for their unflinching support and coordination. I would also like to thank the third year students for their participation, such as Abhimanyu, Harshit, Ritik, and Anisha. I would also like to extend my gratitude and thanks to Anurag, Ayush, Aishwarya, Nikita, Nimish, Muskan, and Shireen for their tireless efforts. Above all, a heartfelt gratitude and thanks to all the students who have actively participated in this program and for making this event such a great success. With warm regards and kind message. And this, we move on to the end of the program. So thank you so much, all of you.
Thank you so much, Muskan, Adish, Shweta, and Piyush. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Arihant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Thank
wish
you
you all
all
the
of
very
you.
best. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye-bye. Take care.